So my name is Dave or David, and I am so fortunate to come from a family that likes to travel. My father's from Panama, my mother's from Minnesota, so they obviously traveled to meet each other at some point, right? And that point is where one of our audience members is currently living, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. But that's another story. So we grew up traveling everywhere. My father drove us all the way to Florida, all the way to California, all the way down to Mexico City. We flew to through Jamaica one time, and the piece de resistance, we actually drove our family car from Albuquerque, New Mexico, all the way down to Panama City, Panama. It took us about 3 weeks. So love to travel. But the place I really wanted to visit was Europe, because Europe has served this outsized role in global history. And most Americans can trace at least one ancestor, like I can, to Europe. So I wanted to see what all the fuss was about. I wanted to visit castles. I wanted to visit cathedrals and museums. So what's the best way to do it? Well, go on a study program. So Randy, my roommate, and I plunked down our money. It was about $2,500, and that included 12 hours of credit, transatlantic flights, domestic travel, museum tickets, pretty much everything. I mean, it was a great deal, except I didn't have quite enough money. So I had to sell my car. I had an Audi Fox. So some of you might remember the Fox, a little sedan. It was an ugly brown color. My daughters would call it a poop brown, and it was. It was a great little car, but without a doubt, selling that Audi Fox was one of the best sales decisions of my life, because it was leverage for the best summer of my single life. And I'll tell you a little bit more about that. But I was only 20 years old. And in case you don't know this, 20-year-old men don't have fully formed brains. And the rest of the story will prove that fact. Our prefrontal cortex is not fully formed until we're mid to late 20s. And mine was definitely malformed at age 20. So we go to Europe. I'm so excited. I don't sleep at all on the entire flight over. One of our 60 students is playing his guitar. He's this long-haired dude. This is a long time ago, folks, so please bear with me. And I thought, this is going to be the best summer of my life. And it really was. Also, a lot of cute girls on the trip. So I'm thinking, wow, all this for $2,500. Now, 7 weeks later, my ardor for Europe has cooled. Why has it cooled? Because we visit museum after museum, castle after castle, and cathedral after cathedral. What I didn't know is in Europe, a castle or a cathedral is as common as a gas station in the United States. They're everywhere. You could swing a dead cat and hit one, any place in that continent. So we have about a week left. We visited about 10 countries. It was awesome. But we are in London, England. And of course, our tour guide, our director, wants us to visit the crown jewel of English architecture, Westminster Abbey. This place is so important that the Pope visits this church, this grand Church of England, which is, by the way, not a Catholic institution. And famous Brits are buried there, like Winston Churchill, like Charles Darwin, like Sir Isaac Newton. Kings and queens are crowned there. They're married there. They're buried there. I mean, it is the must-see. It is England in one building. It's England condensed, kind of like condensed milk, except this is condensed England in one place. But again, my roommate Randy and I were tired of castles, because here's the thing they don't ever tell you about castles. They're cold and dank. I can see why the Europeans left, because America has so much better weather and architecture than cold and dank Europe. So we decided on plan B. So what is plan B? Well, we wanted to see a movie. We're Americans. We want to see a good movie. And at the time, there was this, ironically, movie about English history and English architecture called Monty Python and the Holy Grail. Without a doubt, one of the funniest movies ever made. So we do a balancing test. Our 60 fellow students are seeing Westminster Abbey and soaking in all the culture. And Randy and I are learning about things like, we are the knights who say nicht. We're learning things like the attack rabbit that can only be killed by the holy hand grenade of Antioch. And we're just having a great time. But looking back now, after 40 years, without a doubt, the worst decision of my life.